Well, hello everybody. Happy Thursday and welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa. And I hope you've all had a fantastic week so far. I am very grateful and as always, happy to have Dr. Dennis Carroll with me, we're going to be chatting about, all this stuff that's been happening lately, especially with you guys in America, the foggy, schmoggy things, Dennis, and weather manipulation and all sorts of things, which I definitely think we are feeling here as well. But before we go ahead, I want to just welcome everybody into the chat. And of course, Joanne, you are such a star-studded girl. Look at you. Look there. Thank you so, so much. What a blessing to start the show with $80. Thank you so much. I muchly appreciate that. And while I'm on that topic, I just want to say thank you to everybody who supports this channel in whichever way you do. I really, 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 really appreciate you. And I am actually going to put up Dr. Dennis's information while we're chatting. And Dennis, how are you? And over to you. How has the last fortnight been? And I saw you, I think it was this morning maybe. Unfortunately, I wasn't in the chat for very long with your show with Jessica, but I was there for a short space in time. So welcome. Wonderful to have you here. How are you?
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. It's always a pleasure. We're in the deep freeze over here today, where I'm at. It's very chilly out there, and unfortunately, that's better than California. California is on fire. That's about, I think, there's a lot of bad stuff happening out there, definitely, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Some of the weird weather weaponization, I believe, that's going on, and all that. I had a great show yesterday with Jessica. If anybody wants to check that out, definitely it's on her side. We did a thing on reptilians, and I will have to we will have to get together, Shanty, one day and do a show on the reptilians. Fascinating subject, and it goes way deep into our history.
I would love that because you know that here in Africa we have the Shitari, right? Which is the Krida Mutwe used to, I had the privilege of meeting him a number of years back. What an incredible human being Krida Mutwe was. He passed away, I think, a day or two before lockdown started, actually. He said that he was not prepared to live through the evil that was before us. And he was already in his 90s. And my gosh, could that man, if ever anything could spiritually attack someone, it would be him. And he had incredible insight on the creatures here. And the Shatari is the lizard being. And it actually looks like the normal ones, like the proper lizards that you see, but it's huge. And it really, and I can't remember offhand, but it basically means to rule over the land. That's what it means, right? So the Shatari, which is also the lizard beings, and Krida Mutwe always said that the reason why African women have such big buttocks is because they have their lizard tails wrapped up in their buttocks, which was super interesting because he believed a large part of the African population was actually from the Shitari. But it's very interesting. So I would love to actually do a show on that and actually talk about that.
It's fascinating.
Sounds
really interesting. We will definitely have to do a show on that for sure. I thought we'd go ahead and do a little quick prayer protection before we start because it's going to be kind of a dark subject. So let's do a little prayer protection. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you and supplicate ourselves unto you today, and ask that you touch us, touch our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. That you will open our spiritual eyes and ears, that you will give us discernment to see and know the truth, of things and how they really are in this world, and then give us that light against the darkness that seeks to engulf us. We ask this in the name of Jesus Christ, and in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. Thank you,
Well,
Dennis.
this is
Yeah.
a very dark subject because, unfortunately, Shanti, what we're going to talk about today goes deep into the very essence of our being and our existence. The thing about all of this is that the number one thing that we have to really work against is this darkness that's seeking to overtake us and to overcome us in so many different ways. We have to combat it because it is a spiritual warfare that we're engaging in against these things, and we have to understand that even in spiritual warfare, there are rules that we have to go by. There are things that we have to do to secure ourselves against some of this darkness that seeks to overtake us. And the very essence of our reality is the fact that I think we've lost Shanti here for. Are you there? I think we blinked out on that. Okay. Everybody still with me? Okay. Anyway, let me continue. The very essence of our existence. Oh, here she is. She's coming back. There she is. Okay. The very essence of our existence is the reality that our Creator has created for us. Okay. And the reality is this whole universe and the way it's put together, the laws that He has given us to live by, and all these other things. But there are other forces that seek to change that reality. They seek to change it for their own purposes against what our Creator has created. And we have to understand that that is what we're struggling against here in many ways. And this is not only launching an attack against us spiritually, but physically as well. And when you come to the weather, that is a big thing because the weather concerns all of us. I remember what Mark Twain said about the weather. Everybody talks about it, but nobody does anything about it. Well, that's not true anymore. Things can be done about it. Okay, that's what's going on, I think, in the world today. And
Right.
mentioned this before the show. We were talking. This is not global warming. Well, global warming would take generations to do what it needs to do. This is a snowball effect. This is accelerated what they're doing, and this has got to be nothing else but weaponization. They're
Right.
using the weather as a weapon and a tool to accomplish the things they want to do. And a lot of times, just like what's going on in California today and in other places, you have a lot of these natural disasters. You have to wonder if some of this is sort of misdirection, trying to get us distracted from what they don't want us to see.
Right.
We have to think about that. So that's the fascinating part about a lot of this weatherization. And you got so many reports, Shanti, of
Exactly.
people encountering this weird weather. You got strange fogs that are burning people's throats and eyes. They're finding residue in snow. Even the snow does not look right. It doesn't act right. I
It's
think there was like one video where this woman went out and took a bowl of snow, took it back in the house, put it in the microwave, and melted it, and you can see black particles in the snow. What was
right.
left? What is that? Okay, well,
Exactly.
there is a certain thing that's called nanotechnology, and it is so small. It is a robotic system that is so small you could even inhale this stuff and not know it. They call it smart dust, by the way, because it has the ability to change you into being part of a network, being part of the technology. It can get in your body and remain as a residual in your body, slowly changing you, supposedly, into what they evidently want you to be.
So is that something called smart dust? Is that what you're saying? Do you think that is part of what they're actually spraying through the chemtrails and through this weather misting or fog that they're doing as well? Do you think that's part of this whole process? Because there's a lot of people, again, I've also watched a few of these videos or YouTube videos this past week or so. And the common theme is that it smells really bad. So there's no ways, I mean, when there's a thunderstorm or mist or something and you live in the mountains, there's no more beautiful smell, right? When it's natural. So this mist smells very bad. When it's also like very granular, it's got these granular particles. So it's like almost, I saw someone at nighttime holding a torch and it looked like snowflakes. It actually looked like snowflakes as opposed to just a mist. A mist obviously is very fine.
It's fake.
Yes, exactly.
It looks fake.
Yeah, totally. And also another thing that really stood out to me, Dennis, is this woman was showing a video of her air filter. It was insane. She put in a clean air filter, and then I think it was 24 hours later, took it out. That thing was pitch black. It was like unbelievable. So there's definitely stuff in there. And of course, a lot of people reporting that it's making them sick, giving them asthma, headaches, major headaches, that sort of stuff is what I'm seeing. From your side, what else is there?
I think the overall goal, Shanti, is that they are actually trying to change the very atmosphere of this planet.
Right.
The way they want it to be. And I think they're doing this not only with the weather, they're doing this with the spraying, like you're talking about, with the chemtrails. They're doing it that way. They're putting it in our food and our water. This is a change, a molecular change over all different fields of our existence in many ways. They're even, I think, changing the very atmosphere of the electrons in the atmosphere that we encounter naturally. You know how in the wintertime you walk across the carpet and you get shocked, you have a little stag electricity. They're even changing this stuff, okay? They're changing a lot of things. What's the ultimate goal of that? What are they trying to accomplish? Evidently, they are trying to change the reality of humanity.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. This whole transhumanism, transgenderism, everything is a hybrid. Even the cars nowadays, everything's hybrid. The hybrid cars, hybrid humans, everything is hybrid. It's, all going over, to that whole satanic AI. I remember also, I remember Leo Zagami. I did a show with him a number of weeks, months back, whatever. I don't really remember, but on also the satanic AI. And it is insane because with all of this stuff that we're going over to, it's more and more technologically based. In fact, Jesse and I were doing a decode on the Simpsons predictions yesterday, in fact. And one of the things that they were predicting is a baby recorder or something. So when your baby cries, you put this gadget next to it and it'll tell you why your baby's crying. Now, for starters, I look at that and I'm horrified because even though that might be something very separate or seem like it's something separate to which we're speaking about, it's not really, because for me, as a mother, and we were saying, as a mother, when your child is born, you know when your child is crying, you have a very, very strong intuition as to what is wrong. Yes, obviously, if it's there are things where doctors need to get involved, sure. But it's like taking away our human connection, taking away our human bond, breaking down our intuition. So now we stop trusting our intuition, which is the fiber of our being as human beings. It's the fiber that connects us to each other, right? And now they're getting us to mistrust our very intuition by giving us all these electronic gadgets, saying, "Oh no, here's something that'll tell you what to do. Here's something that'll do it for you." And it's powerful because especially the younger generations are obviously a lot more open to these sorts of things. They love it. They love these gadget quick fix. As little as what I have to do, the better, right?
Well, I think the ultimate goal, without a doubt, is the removal of our humanity. They're going to slowly take our humanity away from us, because once you do that and you attack on all different fronts, not just the spiritual, but the physical and the mental fronts, okay, the three things that make you, the spiritual, physical, and mental capacities. They're going to attack you on all three of those fronts because they're trying to change the reality to the way they want it to be. And that includes turning you into what they want you to be, taking away your humanity. When you take away, and I have met people like this, unfortunately, in my law enforcement career. I have met people that had no feeling for anyone else. They had turned completely in on themselves, you might say. They could only feel what they wanted to feel. They were very narcissistic, put it that way. In their, and they only wanted what they wanted, and what you wanted, what you were, did not matter to them. That you were a human being, they had no feeling for you, because that was the way that they wanted things to be. That's the way they wanted their reality to be. And when they take away your humanity like that, when they assault your humanity, we're being assaulted spiritually here, okay? Not just physically and mentally, but we're being assaulted spiritually. When they take your humanity away from you, Shanti, you're no longer going to be human. And if you're no longer human, you no longer have a soul. Your soul is gone. That's it. And that's the goal. Yeah.
Do you know, I was actually having a very interesting conversation with the gentleman a few days ago, who is actually he's an amazing healer. And he said to me, people that come to see him that have had plastic surgery, he said, their soul is gone. Because he said, the minute you start tampering with what's naturally yours, what you see in the mirror, you don't recognize yourself anymore. You're seeing something in someone else. And that's how with plastic surgery, they're getting people as well. This whole vanity thing, like have a nose job, have your eyes done, have your Botox done, whatever. But that is taken. And he said to me, I can't work. And I said, well, how do you deal with that? He said, I can't work with what's not there. He said, I tell them I can't help you. So it's part of like selling your soul as well. And that gave me that understanding. So this whole beauty industry and what they're doing, again, takes us further and further away from the true nature of our spirit, and really there's nothing richer.
It takes us further into the darkness.
Absolutely.
What it's doing, it's drawing us further into the darkness, away from the light that is humanity, love and light and positive stuff and all that, the good vibes. It's taking us away from that and pulling us deeper into the darkness. And the deeper you go into the darkness, Shanti, the more you lose your soul. That's what happens with these people that sign these dark contracts and sell their soul, or whatever title you want to call it. They go into these agreements, and they do that and lose their humanity. Once you lose your humanity, you have no feeling for nobody else. It's very much like what the Bible says. and it talks about the last days. And this is what it says. Listen very carefully. It says that they will become lovers of themselves more than anything else. There will be no room in them for love of anything but their own selves. And the love of many will wax cold. In other words, they have no feeling for you because they have lost their soul. They have lost their
Exactly.
humanity.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. As human beings are we're very unique, incredible beings. And I think at this time, that's what we have to remember. And I know we're going to chat towards the end of the show, or not towards the end, but later, on spiritual, ways. You're going to give us ways to protect ourselves spiritually as well at these times, because I think we really need it. But at the end of the day, why are they after us in such a hectic way? Is because
We also,
without us, they can't exist. They actually can't exist. We are their livestock, their feed, their whatever it is. So when we stop feeding the beast will
we
starve. It's
also
that
have to
simple.
learn that since we've been assaulted spiritually, physically, and all these other different ways, we have been bruised up. We've been just like in a fight, we've been beat up, we've been bruised up, we've got a lot of contortions going on with us. We've got a lot of problems. We are beat up spiritually. We have to begin to learn how to heal. It's very important that we heal from these things. And here's the thing about it, and we got to remember this. The human body, the DNA and everything is geared towards constant creation. It's healing. It's trying to heal. Whether it accomplishes that or not sometimes is a different matter. But it is trying to heal. That's the way we're made. We're made to heal. If you have a wound,
Exactly.
it heals up and you have a scar, but you still heal up. Okay, that's the
I
way it goes.
so agree. The
And
body's
we've got to
designed to heal
understand that
itself.
this can be done physically and spiritually as well, and we need healing from these kind of instances, without a doubt.
Absolutely. So, other than these, just the weaponization, for example, of what they're putting in through this mist, that's literally making people sick. I've also been seeing things that they sending these creatures through the mist. They are definitely very otherworldly looking creatures, and so God dang ugly.
Mm.
But there again, that's AI. One never knows if it's AI or if it's true, but I'm sure it must be a pretty accurate depiction mostly. But what is your take on that, Dennis?
Well, the uh, uh, the goal for that, I think, is manifestation. Okay, if you
Right.
create an image of something, this is like very much like voodoo with a voodoo doll kind of thing, or other types of witchcraft. Witchcraft is geared towards manifestation of an image. Okay, that's what casting a spell. That's what doing stuff is all about when it comes to witchcraft. Okay, and I have studied the occult for many years, never as a practitioner, only as a scholar. But let me say this. That's the way you get things done in witchcraft. You manifestate what you want to get done. And in order for you to manifest, you have to have an image to bring to life. You have to give it sort of power with an image. Imagery, Shanti, is everything in this world. Okay, image is
Exactly.
everything. An image has power to it, just like words have power to them. Image has power to it as well, and it gives us the ability, for right or wrong, to manifest things if we're not careful. And that's what you see,
Exactly.
I think, going on with a lot of this AI that you see, these weird creatures that you see them put pictures up of and film and moving around and all that. They would love for these things to be real. They would love to manifest these
Right.
things. Yeah. And let me tell you this, in my experience with demonology, there are things right now. I'm gonna blow your mind with this. Think about this a moment, okay? There are things existing in this world right now that once upon a time we made them up. They were
I
just characters
agree.
that we made up. But
I
now
agree.
the demonic has taken them and made them real.
Exactly. It's our consciousness. It's definitely I so agree with what you say. I mean, we can say it in many different ways, I guess, but absolutely. So this is like our greatest fears that they've manifested. Actually, they've conjured up entities that look like and duplicate, if you will, our greatest fears. And that's what they do, because that's how clever they are. They've done so many studies on this over the years. We know that. They've been doing MK Ultra. They've been doing mind control. Yes, Amy, thought forms. It's so true. Thought forms. That's what it is. I'm going to put that up for years on the kids. And, this is obviously what has, as you say, been conjured up, and they're weaponizing our own fears against us. That's the way I see that.
They use the fear as a weapon. That is the number one weapon they use against us, is fear and intimidation. Believe me, I've run into these guys face to face, and I know how they operate.
I'm
And one
sure.
day I'll have to tell you the story about that. But anyway, I know without a doubt that they use this tool of fear against us, against humanity, to keep us in line, to control us, to do what they want to do. And fear manifesting itself, Chantelle, fear manifesting itself is a powerful thing to fight against. You have to be very careful how you approach it, because, and we got to always remember, fear is the number one enemy of faith.
Yes.
And faith is the number one enemy of fear. Okay. Fear and faith don't go together. And they are trying to manipulate our faith. They're trying to be enemies against our faith. That way we give in to the fear. That's what they want. They want us to give in to the fear,
Exactly.
and we manifest our fears more that way as well.
Dennis, you know what? I'm gonna take a slightly different, I'm a totally out of the box thinker. And I like to look at these things from all sorts of different angles. And something occurred to me the other day. And it's so true what you were saying earlier on. It's like they've created all sorts of things and blah, blah, blah. When you tampering with us and the intentions they have with us, The way I see that, they've been doing that for so many years already. They've been doing it and doing it and doing it. And it's like we, for centuries, have been subjected to their subtle and not so subtle mind control. And I'm of the opinion that we are waking up. And because we, as the people who are working for God, I mean, we have the light side and the dark side of the system. I don't talk about that. I'm talking about of the light. Those of us who are of the light are waking up. We are creating cracks in this whole energy field with our consciousness that's literally evolving. And these creatures of the night are actually forced to come out. They don't have a choice anymore. They have to come out. It's like cockroaches that have been scuttling around in the darkness for so many years. Now there's just too much light. Now they're running around. And I'm saying, if there's a 2% chance that might be the truth, then I'm saying let's capitalize on that. Because the minute we stand in our strength and we say, you know what, we're the ones that are calling you out, show yourself to me, reveal yourself, creature of the night. I am walking in God's light, and that is my protection. You have nothing over me when I am walking in God's light. And that, I think, is what our protection needs to be, is our faith. That's our faith, not a shield and a sword we carry externally. It's a frequency thing. That's what I think. I don't know. What is your take on that? I know it's a little bit out there, but what's your take on that?
Well, I think it comes down to the point that where we have the true balance in ourselves, that there's
Yes.
more light than darkness in us.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. And we've got to foster that. We've got to say, hey, I want more of the positive things in my life than I want the negative. I have a lot of people that come to me and say, oh, I have a terrible life. This is going on or that's going on. And you find out they've got a drug problem or an alcohol problem. Well, what do they expect? They're leading a negative life. If you lead a more positive life, if you have more light in you than darkness, you're going to come out better in the long run, in the end. And a lot of this stuff is going to be like, you're going to be like waterproof to it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's going to roll
Exactly.
off of you. And that's good.
Exactly.
You want that. Yeah. You want that to happen. Yeah.
It's the way I see it. It's like if you've had a camp of wild animals in an enclosed area, right? For a very long time, and they've been completely dehumanized, the way that some of these cryptid things that we see and the things that they have done to some human beings, right? And you open up that camp door now, and like the gate breaks open, they come running out. A lot of them don't even know where they're running, and the light is too bright for them, so they have no choice but to go into chaos. And I think we need to remember that a lot of what we're experiencing, we think it's like, I always say to people, like with wild animals and things, as an animal communicator, like snakes, people love to kill snakes. Why? All you have to do is stand still. And the way you react to something, right, and then you will stand still, you'll have a different reaction. That snake is more fearful of you than what you are of it, right? So when you understand this thing is probably more fearful to be out in the light now, running around, don't know where to go, it gives us a certain understanding and a certain power, I guess. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, unfortunately, we never see the perspective of the other thing. We're only seeing things through our own perspective. That's the way that goes usually. If you take an animal, a wild animal, and you cage it up, you take its freedom away from him, you treat it badly, how's it going to react to you? It's not going to be your best friend. It's not going to react good to you because that's the way you've done it. You've changed its perception of its reality. Okay. And that's what we're talking about. These things are doing to humanity. They're changing the perception of our reality. They've been doing it since day one. This goes back thousands and thousands of years. They've been doing this to us since day one because they are our enemies. If you have this wild animal caught up in a cage somewhere and you treat it badly, things are not going to come out good. But
exactly,
you have changed its reality. In other words, it's not going to act any better because it doesn't know any better, because that's the way it's been treated. And I think that may happen with some of these so-called cryptids. These things have been treated very badly or have been used, been weaponized. They were definitely not going to have a good disposition, because that's the way they've been treated. That's the way they've been done. I've seen children done like that, Unfortunately, it's a sad thing to think about. Children who have been harassed, who have been, bullied and all this other things. It changes people, and it changes them for the worse. It's not a good naturing kind of a thing. And that's why I was saying about earlier about a lot of these spiritual attacks that go against us. They wound us. They hurt us. They scar us up, but we were made by our Creator to be to have a healing process, to try to heal. We try to heal whether we can or not. Sometimes we are trying to heal. Yeah, that's part of our nature. And if we allow that, then we can get over a lot of traumatic stuff,
Yes, I agree.
That's like you take that wild animal out of the cage and start treating it good. And I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen with dogs and stuff. You can take it and start treating it good and comforting it and help it out, and it will change the very nature of that animal.
Absolutely.
You know, I've seen it happen many
Absolutely.
times. So there's nothing beyond, nothing that really like that goes beyond redemption. It can be redeemed if you try, you know. But I think the governments of the world, Shanty, they don't have that kind of feeling that we would have for an animal. They don't look
No,
upon it that way. They're
no,
like bureaucrats. They have no feeling for you at all. They don't care. They just want to do whatever their goal is to do. And that's a that's sort of a and that's not a diabolical evil. That is a mankind kind of evil that they have. There is a diabolical evil behind it, without a doubt, because I have seen that. But
right.
you know, we're bad enough without having outside forces to make us worse. But that's the way humanity goes, you know. But that's the way the governments are. Okay, the governments and the corporations and all that, they have no feeling for you. You know, like Ronald Reagan said, you know, the worst thing you ever want to hear is somebody says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. That's definitely not going to be a big help at all. Uh, and when you run into the government and you run into these things, and believe me, I've run into these guys. Okay, I don't trust them. Not as far as I can pick them up and throw this house I'm in. Okay, because that's just the way they operate, without a doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, and going to what you're saying is when you're treating things well, and that's really coming from the vibration of love. Love is the greatest healer of everything. And love is not weak. Love is not something because the word love, I think, in personal relationships has been so badly abused that because that's not love that most of us experience in personal relationships. Love, the eternal, immortal love it's a humbling thing. It's a thing that allows you to continue. It fuels you. It gives you insight. And that's exactly what we were saying earlier is the God DNA, right? God particle, right? The God particle. And, we are innately created from that love. And when we all go back to that love, the beginning, basically, we can then create, and I don't think, Dennis, we can really show anything else, respect or empathy or compassion, unless we've given that to ourselves first. And it's not an egoistic thing. It's understanding only when it's like testing how something works on you before you give it to someone else, right? You've got to understand how compassion works in you first before you can talk it to someone else. So we have to teach teach ourselves these qualities first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joanne, love this.
Absolutely. That's what that God particle is what makes us human, you know.
Right.
That's what holds us together. That's sort of that's the linchpin. If you look at a helicopter, it's got a pin at the very top where the blade is. If you take that pin out, you don't have a helicopter anymore. Okay, it's gone. That important part is gone, and that God particle is the important part of us. That's what differentiates us from the mere animals that we know. Okay, but
Right.
even the animals that are around us, and I've seen this so many times, and you have too, I'm sure, they have the capacity to love. They are souls too, but they're just on a different level than we are in some ways. Okay, but they have the capacity to love as well. But they also, we got to remember this, and bad actors in this world know this too. They also have the capacity to hate if they are changed that way too.
Oh yeah.
And I think
Oh,
that's going on with some of these cryptids, that they have been manipulated, used, and abused to the point where they can't be redeemed anymore, or they're very far from redemption, put it that way. But if
yeah.
you were to take them and treat them differently, who knows? What would happen with that? But here's the bad thing about it, Shanty. If you run into one of these things, you may be in for a bad time. It may not be a good outcome because they have been, like we said, used and abused. And when you do that, even to a cryptid, much less a cow or dog or cat, even a person, once you do that, you change their perception of reality. You change them. And, and I've had a lot of people come to me lately and say, you know what? Things are different in this world now. And that's what we're talking about today. People come say, things are just different, Dennis. I don't even feel right anymore. Things doesn't feel right. Things don't taste right anymore. They don't, they don't feel right. I don't even talk like I used to. I don't think the things that I used to think about. Things are changing, and they're not changing for the good. That's the point that we're making today. There are things out there that are trying to change our reality for the bad and not the good. That's just the way it goes. And we have to be very careful about that. I talk to people about when you go in the restaurants or you go in the grocery store or the supermarket, look over your food very carefully. Don't trust the labels anymore. You can't trust the labels anymore, okay? Weigh your food. Does it feel right? Does it look right? We've got to start getting smarter about this stuff because there is something insidious in the background that's trying to change everything for us in the wrong direction. That's what worries me. If it were changing in the right direction, I'd be a happy guy, okay? But it's not. It's changing in the wrong direction, and that's not good.
Exactly.
And I've had people tell me, just like these fogs, like the rain doesn't even look right anymore. They say it's kind of oily now. It doesn't even stay on your windshield right anymore. I've noticed that. I've told people that if you got to go out in the fog, wear a neck gaiter. Don't breathe that stuff if you can help it, okay? Because there's something going on here, that we got to be very suspicious about. It's sad. It's a sad thing, Shanty, that we have to live and deal with this fear, but
Right.
we don't have to let it overwhelm us.
Absolutely.
We can use fear. You can use fear in the right way sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what we need to start thinking about.
Fear is a very good thing because it alerts us to danger, right? How often do we hear people saying, I saw that person, or I walked past there and their hair on my neck stood up, that sort of thing. So fear is a very good thing because it's going to alert you to danger as well. So it's good we have to understand our fears, but we just can't get sucked into them. That's the whole thing. It's so
we
true.
have to pay attention to that, because that's something trying to tell us. We would be foolish not to pay attention to the I call it the red flags that go up,
Exactly, Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
I was also, when I was watching some of the stuff, they were talking about this fog and that there were drones or something, that they were hiding drones. So, it's like not just what they're putting into this fog, but what are they actually deflecting? What's going on behind the fog? Is there anything around that you can tell us? Is there anything, that's been going on? I think they said the drones were spraying stuff, that there was drones and it was spraying stuff.
Yeah, some there has been some drone activity noted around some of this stuff, and I think there may be. We got to look at it in two different ways here. One of them, it may be that may be the way that they're spreading stuff with the drones, but another way that they may be recording stuff with the drones. In other words, it's sort of a probe, like to what they're doing. A lot of this stuff is an ongoing experimentation. They're trying to see how much we can tolerate or how it affects us or whatever. We are like part, unfortunately, Shandy, of a big scientific experiment going on. I think that's got a lot to do with it. And so one part is instigating it, making it happen. And the other part is recording it and probing it to see what the outcome is. That's just the way that the government especially does stuff. And we talked about this on Jessica's show the other day. about these underground conclaves or whatever you want to call them that are under some of these deserted malls and shopping centers and stuff like that. And I have seen film. I know you probably have too. People have gone into these deserted malls and stuff, and there will be like miles of tunnels up under these things. What is going on with that? The government likes to get close to its experiment. In other words, they like to be close to the public without you knowing it. And that's why they like to get in these places. And I'm guarantee you they're doing the same thing with drones. That's what a lot of this drone activity is geared towards. For one thing, they're going to see what it does to you. Another thing is it's going to probe what exactly the outcome is. So it doesn't.
Yeah, it's like what Joanne's saying here, recording our reactions. I mean, it would make a lot of sense to me that would be part of what they're doing, because, we know that we really are just a big fat experiment here in many ways. So, it's like putting a camera up at the water hole and to see where your animals come drink, right? It's kind of like that on another level. Wow. Makes sense, though, that's what they could be doing, for sure.
And, just like with animals, okay, and I've told people a lot of times, I've done a lot of cryptid research in my years. I always station myself near water because everything is going to come to water sooner or later, no matter what it is. That includes people, animals, cryptids, whatever the situation. The government knows there's certain things that we do, okay? Certain habits that we have, certain ways they can manipulate us to do things, okay? And they're very good at playing us. They play us like a fiddle, okay? They can play us like a violin because they know what makes us tick psychologically. And did you know there is one branch of the governments of the whole world now, not just the United States, I'm talking about everybody here. There's one big branch of PSYOPs. All they do is psychological warfare. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they know how to play us.
Yeah, totally. And they've been doing it since the beginning of time. I think what does Jesse call it? Mind construct. As opposed to mind control, there's something that, because she was working, she was, as a kid, Aquino was one of her handlers. Michael Aquino was one of her handlers. And she talks.
Here's the one big threat, Shanti. The one threat that we have against them. We are starting slowly to wake up. And they don't like that. Okay.
That's it.
And let me say this. Okay. You're talking about like with the Simpsons and all this other stuff. We are I think our creator is giving us the information we need. But I don't think we could handle it all at one time. Okay. And so here's what I say about waking up. Okay. Waking up is a process. You don't just all of a sudden one day you wake up, oh, I know everything now. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen that way. So you get a little bit at a time and you start accumulating this information. That's the way to learn. That's the way it really comes home to you. And I think our creator is giving us that. He has promised us, and a very sacred promise, that no matter what is secret, one day will be known. As it says in the Bible, what is whispered in the closets will be shouted upon the housetops. He is going to let us be aware. I mean, that's only fair. Think about it. He's being fair with us here, okay? That's only fair. He's going to let us wake up to what's truly going on. And the certain actors, the Luciferians, whatever name you want to give them, they don't like that. They don't want us to be awake.
Of course not. It's obviously been to their benefit to have us asleep. And as we know, I mean, all we have to do now is go back and just read documents from decades ago on the plans that they had for us at this time, So I think but what I was also just saying earlier on with Aquino and Jesse, and they call it mind construct, where they would do stuff, for example, like during the pandemic. For your grandparents or your children, you're going to wear a mask because you don't want to get others sick. So they appeal to our human compassion as well to get what they want. And a great thing that they love doing is building false hope. So they give us false hope and boom, human beings thrive on hope, right? So it's amazing because when we see how they've actually frayed away at the very fiber of our being with these,
because they like to use and abuse us. That's part of their plan, to use and abuse us, and to get us to the way they want us to be. And like I said, that's the changing the perception of our reality. That's what they're up to. And here's another thing we got to think about. Okay, we are creatures of habit. As long as they keep us asleep, like you said, as long as they keep us right where they want us, sitting on the sofa watching basketball and drinking your beer and you're happy, they got you right where they want you. Or if the situation is that you got to have your cell phone with you all the time. If that makes you happy, that's what they're going to do. Okay, they're going to keep you asleep. And here's what I said the other day, and this is the way we have changed in just our lifetime now, Shanty. Okay, this is the way we have changed in just the last few years. When you leave the house, what's the first thing you look for? Make sure your keys, and what else? Your cell phone. You've become so attached to your cell phone.
Always. I mean, I'm lost without mine. I'm not even going to lie. I have about 2 or 3 extra ones lying around that are clones of the first one, just in case. Right? It's insane.
We've become so attached to it. It's part of us now. It's like another hand or something. It's gotta go with us. And yet, I remember, and people will look at you very strange. So I remember once upon a time, we didn't have such a thing as a cell phone. They look at you like you're crazy, Well, how did you make it without that?
I remember in Johannesburg, because at the time I was running my own business and I was on the road a lot. So I was one of the, probably, I don't know, I can't say I was the first person ever to have a cell phone in Johannesburg, but I was one of the first people that had a cell phone. And I'll never forget, I was having a business meeting with a business colleague, and we were sitting at a restaurant, and she had a cell phone too. And we were both talking on our phones at the same time. The woman at the table next to us were laughing at us. They said, "This looks hilarious. You don't understand how funny you look. There's 2 people on phones." At that stage, it was like absolutely unheard of.
Well, I know you have too. I've seen people sitting close together and they're texting each other on the phone. They're right there next together, and doing that. Here's the thing about it, okay? There's nothing wrong with having a cell phone. I'm not getting down on that. I mean, there's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with the technology, as long as it's used correctly and not for bad purposes. But these guys are never going to do that. They're all about weaponization, just like with the weather. If they can change the weather, and look, the weather. Think about this a moment. The weather changes the way you perceive everything, the way you feel things, the way you handle things. The weather is the perfect way to weaponize something against somebody. Think about it. It's perfect. And but yet the technology is that way too. Okay, if they can, and like I say, the next revolution is going to be, you are going to be part of a cell phone. You're not going to have a cell phone anymore that's independent. It's going to be built into you. You're going to be the cell phone. You're going to be the technology. That's what the plan is that they've got for you. In the next few years coming up, they're going to make you part of the technology.
So would that obviously be all the chips and things? Already we are seeing people that have got these chips in their hands, and they go to the candy machine and boom, their candy falls out, because obviously everything is stored on this chip in their hand, right? Already people have that. Are we talking about the same thing here?
Well, here's the thing, Okay, when they get absolute control over you and they've got your bank account, okay, here's what they're gonna say to you. They got your bank account right where they want it, whether they've got it in uh, stocks and bonds or cryptocurrency, whatever the situation. When they've got your bank account right where they want it, they will say to you one day, well, now, Shandy, if you don't attend this society meeting or if you don't do this or do that, we're going to stop your bank account or we're going to
Right.
suspend your bank account for a week. What are you going to do to you? You know, they understand that they want that complete full power over you and that control. And that's what it's all geared to going to, that dehumanization of mankind.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, that's it. Just, it's like the more we putting the pieces of the puzzle together, the more we see and how many different directions they're coming at us from and always have. It's actually not even strange, right, that they're doing it. And it's not even strange anymore that we see them doing it. That's actually what I should be saying, because this has been going on since forever. And I love the fact that we are waking up now. And I love the fact that we are taking our power back. And I love the fact that we are saying no. Although it's difficult, and many of us have experienced many difficulties over this time with family, blah, blah, blah. But, at the end of the day, family doesn't always have to be blood. We have a wonderful community. I always say I'm the hostess with the mostest awesome guests and viewers. Yes, I am. And I think we create so many communities that really is our own tribe, if you want to call it that. And that's really what this is about. The more we form these communities, Dennis, and the more the information gets spread. Knowledge is power. That's where true power lies, is knowledge. I look in South Africa, yeah, and the average person just does not. I mean, we're quite an open-minded country in many ways, but we're so diverse. There's so many different tribes and cultures and things, so it's hard to pinpoint in one. But where my people that I know and work with, pretty wide open-minded, but also lazy to make a move. Lazy to make a move,
Remember that knowledge is power, but we have to use that knowledge the right way. Okay, we have to go about it the right way and not the wrong way. But knowledge is power. I have a sign that says that on my desk, as a matter of fact. Knowledge is power, but you don't want to abuse that power. Okay,
absolutely.
You want to use it the right way. And so we've got to. Here's the thing about it, Shanty. We've got to start being smarter than we have been. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got, like you said, we've got to wake up and we got to realize we got to smell the bacon. Okay, it's cooking, because things are different now, and we have enemies against us. We have the media against us. We have so many, like you said, it's coming from so many different directions. Even the very air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the water that we drink. We've got to be very careful. We've got to be smart. We've got to make smart choices, and we've got to make the smart choices in our lives that will help us with that knowledge against these things. Because now is the time for us to put on our armor of God. You know what I mean? Now is the time for us to step up and get ready for the battle that's coming.
Exactly.
Because the battle is for our souls. That's what it's all coming down to in the end. The battle for our very souls. And we do not want to lose this battle under any circumstances. The thought of loss is too great to think about. So we have to be smart. We've got to turn and be smart. We've got to be smarter than our enemies, or they're going to get us.
Absolutely. I agree. And on that note, then, what would you say would be, and I know this is something I like to address probably on all my shows, because I have Aquarius Rising Africa, which is where we expose the underbelly of the world. Then solutions with Shanti's, where we talk more about the healing stuff. So as we obviously expose the stuff, the next step is to receive the healing on whatever level people want to receive it, right? But so as we expose the stuff, Dennis, and on every show, what I like to do is, just to ask you then to share with us some of your, your knowledge on protecting ourselves spiritually. And I know definitely prayer is by far the strongest protector, if you will, but we also have to do things along with that, right? To keep ourselves safe. We have to be smart and keep ourselves safe as well. So what would you say, Dennis?
Absolutely. Prayer is a very powerful thing. Meditation and prayer. The Bible tells us to pray without ceasing. That's constantly having that mental thing going on where you're sort of, connecting with your creator on a one-on-one basis continuously. There's nothing wrong with that. It puts you in a positive frame of mind. It enhances you spiritually, strengthens you spiritually every time you do that. But there are other things you can do too that go along with that. Fasting is definitely one of the things that the Bible talks about. Fasting is really good. And I'll tell you the thing about fasting is that you deny yourself food. Now, I'm not talking about for days at a time or anything like that. I'm talking about for, like for one meal or something. What you're doing is you're putting aside your baser instincts and going into a higher spiritual vibration. You
Right.
might say a higher spiritual consciousness. You're getting away from food and material things. And
Right.
another thing we've got to understand that in this hectic world that we live on and in, unfortunately, is the fact that we need to seek that inner peace that we need to look for. And the only way we can get that inner peace is to get away from distraction and misdirection. We need to go off sometimes alone by ourselves just to commune, just to listen, and just, to be quiet and just listen, to nature, to God,
Absolutely.
to the universe, whichever way you want to put it. We need that. We need to do that from time to time. We need to get away from the cell phones. We need to get away from the TVs. Other people, we need to go alone by ourselves and seek out that peace that we need. That peace that the Bible says that passes all understanding. It is a deep spiritual peace that we're talking about here. We're not just talking about getting away from the kids for a while. We're talking
And
about
coming back and being all frazzled again. No, it's completely in
talking
here.
about
Absolutely.
a real higher level of peace that you're seeking. You need that. It recharges your spiritual batteries
Absolutely.
every time you do that. And so there are different techniques, okay? And we need to also mentally prepare ourselves. Like I said, we got to be smart. We got to be smarter than our enemies, but we need to also mentally prepare ourselves for battle against these things and say, well, I'm just not going to think like that anymore, or I'm not going to do that anymore, or now that I understand how they're manipulating me, I'm not going to fall for that anymore. You've got to start changing your living patterns to match what's going on around you, and in a good way and not a bad way. Okay,
Absolutely.
that's what you're looking for. So you can form good habits if you try, and
You have to,
good.
because if we're ending, if we, that's the whole thing. When we make changes, and I always say this, shifting your vibration or raising your vibration is not really as freaky as what it sounds. It really is about doing things that serve you and not in a selfish way. You see, we have to understand, like the Luciferians do things in a very selfish, self-serving way. But when we work in God's light, God requires that we, in order to hear God's voice, We need to have a clear conduit. So we ourselves need to be a clear conduit. Otherwise, we're going to be hearing all sorts of other things in our
Absolutely. You know,
connection.
we can't keep putting the
Yes,
junk in us. Okay, we've got to start screening
exactly.
the junk out, the bad stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've got
And
to
that,
stop that. Yeah,
exactly,
because
exactly. And that's
it is feeding us the wrong way. It is feeding us the wrong kind of stuff. And if we don't do that, then we can never heal. We can't have that healing process going on, you know. And we got to remember one more thing, okay? All of this comes down to a state of mind. Okay.
yes,
In other words, the state of mind is say, I've decided to do this, and that's the way I'm going to do it. And if you'll stick to that state of mind, things will fall in line a whole lot better and quicker for you. And the healing can begin. You need healing from a lot of this because the world is bruising you up here. And that's what you really need. And one more thing that helps this is doing good, going outside of yourself, getting away from your selfishness that is inherent in all of us, and saying, I'm going to go out and do something for somebody today, or I'm going to go out
exactly,
and do something. That takes us out of ourselves spiritually and puts us on another higher level as well. And it enhances that positivity in us if we do that. So the more good deeds you do, the more positive vibes you get out of it. Don't do it because it makes you feel good. Do it because it's the right thing to do.
exactly. And I honestly think that that's so true. You know, just to be able to um, do good deeds for another, be kind where you can, share where you can. Um, you know, for me, Dennis, one of the things that I really enjoyed was during lockdown. And here in South Africa, of course, the African people were the ones that really, really suffered, right? So every day there was food parcels being handed out. And of course, you would literally see kilometers of queues for the African people to collect these food parcels. But about halfway through, the cops who were handing them out stopped them, put all the food parcels in the back of their truck and drove off, and obviously took it for themselves. And that was like common knowledge around here about how corrupt the cops were. And I'll never forget, I was looking through Facebook, and I thought, I said, God, okay, I have X amount of money that I can share. So show me who are the needy ones who need it the most. And there were about 10. Oh, in eeny, meeny, miny, you know, whatever. And I literally sent all of them message saying, send me your cell phone number and I'll give you an e-wallet. We work with e-wallet. Yeah, it's a quick form of transferring money. And you know, for me, each and every one of those people sent me photographs of the food they'd bought, the meals they'd cooked, and their kids or family or animals or whatever it was eating. For me, it was the most beautiful thing that people, something so small, could mean so much to another person. And just the gratitude and the importance of what it is just to have food in your belly. So if you can share a sandwich with someone, do it.
You never know what an impact you make on somebody's life. You really don't. And I think that's one reason why we need to do these things for other people. Is that impact that you're changing that life for the good and not the bad.
Absolutely.
That's the aspect of it. Yeah.
And people would say, oh, well, you know, there's so many that don't have this. And, you know, then you help once and you expect it to help. And I will help where you can. You know, for me, I help where I can. If I can't, I'll say I can't. You know, and that for me is something which is very important because it does make such a difference in another person's life. Even if it is just one meal, right? The ripple effect of that is, and this is one of the major things that we are also, as you say, that's a spiritual protection. It really, really is. It's a spiritual protection.
That's very much like the vow of knighthood when it says to do good to all and wrong no one. That's the way you need to live, you know. And
Absolutely.
if we make positive impacts on other people, it will come back to us sooner or later in one way or another, in a good way. You know, I believe that without a doubt.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, I'm just looking at these comments, just people just enjoy. And it really is, that's what we do. We are feel gooders, right? We feel good. We like to feel good. We like to make others feel good as well. So, and that's so true, Joanne. You receive the biggest gift of all. It's so true. You give because you want to, and it's because it's a pleasure to give. It really is. But it's also important to not give if you don't have. I mean, if you've got a family and you need to feed your family first, you can't be feeding everyone else in the neighborhood. It's important to take care of you and your family first. That really is important. Wow, I'm just enjoying reading everyone's comments here. Yeah, that's nice, Tanya. I'm just looking at Tanya's comment here as well. Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So that's how I think, Dennis, that's, I think, the future of how we're going to be existing in the next foreseeable future anyway, because I do believe, whether we like to admit it or not, the banking systems as we currently know them are going to be falling. The schooling systems as we currently know them, education, university, whatever, is definitely going to be falling. Many of the traditions of governments, etc., is going to be falling. So we are going to have to rebuild our communities. And I really think this is how we do it. We do it by sharing. We do it by helping each other. We do it by, if we see someone's child needs help, today your child is my child. Treat your child as if it's mine. And, that's in Africa, in South Africa, really, we call it Ubuntu. And Ubuntu really is that communal living where everyone gets together, you share your food, you share your wealth, no one goes hungry. So
that's what I always say, about we each have our own little sphere of influence. We may not can get way out there, and do continents and different nations and all that, but we can begin in our community. We can begin very small with just with our friends and family. We can begin there and branch out little by little, And if everybody hooked together and did this, what a wonderful network we would form together, and start helping people. But it always starts very small.
Absolutely. But we're already doing it, aren't we? Isn't this just what we're doing here? And this is what I love, when we get to be able to support each other on Patreon. We get to support each other on our channels, because that enables me to help others again. Mm-hmm. And, for me, it really is that. It's about just seeing someone smile. I always say, as a healer, the best moments are when I'm always in prayer when I'm talking to someone. I'm saying, God, what's the right word? What do I do? What do I say? Boom, boom, boom. And I just get it. And that moment, I always say, when the light comes on in that person's eyes, their reality has been changed forever. Just by one sentence or one word, and it's a click, and then their path opens, and hopefully they're going to follow that path. That's up to them, right? And that's what it is. I think because that energizes us. To give and share with each other is actually energizing us. And yes, Jessica, I agree. Laughter is the best medicine. It totally is. To laugh, smile, be silly. My clients as well, when we're going through some heavy stuff, I'll know exactly when to change that space and crack a joke and say something hilarious. Or my cat comes in and does something that breaks. It's amazing how it works, actually. You break that heaviness and you bring laughter and sunshine into these experiences. It's beautiful. It really, really is. And we are already starting our communities. We are sharing with each other. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I want to just say thank you to everybody who, and you know, you guys have impacted my life so much as well. And I'm just so happy to, yeah, definitely have a good laugh. And just, this is where's the one I wanted to put up now? I put the wrong one up. Okay, and animals too. But yeah, just enjoying and being here for each other. I watch everyone sharing with each other. Yeah, I just see the camaraderie, yeah, which is amazing. Dennis, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. You know, bad times are going to happen. Bad things are going to happen. Things are going to come down the line. It's not going to be good. We know that. That's the kind of world we live in. But how we react to it, that's the main thing. And if we, have that human connection going on, and we connect with
Absolutely.
each other and look out for each other, and try to do what's the right thing at the right time for the right reasons, we'll be all right. I think we will weather the storm without a doubt.
Well, we are very grateful for amazing human beings such as yourself, Dennis, that have actually delved deep into the underbelly of the world to bring us this information and this knowledge. There's so many amazing people that are stepping forward at the moment, whistleblowers. I mean, just the guys on my channel that come and speak and share are absolutely phenomenal, and so many others now as well. So thank you, Dennis, for all the incredible work that you are putting in. I wanna just find out, Lisa D. You started the Telegram channel, didn't you? Can you send us the link? Apparently, there's a Telegram channel that Lisa D started, where we can have chats with each other. So please join us. Lisa D, would you pop it in the chat if you can? And then we can. It's just nice to be able to connect with everyone. I like that. Thank you so much. My mod is on fire. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Dennis, is there anything you would like to say to us as we end off today? And also, I mean, I know we've put your information up there, but maybe you'd just like to share with everyone again where we can get hold of you and your shows, because I know I caught one of your shows, the ass end of one of your shows this morning, Dennis. I'm usually fast asleep in dreamland, and I like caught the last, and I was about to comment and it ended. I went, oh no.
I hear you. I am available on Hunting the Shadows, which is my podcast that comes on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also have another program on Friday nights called Paranormal Point of View, and that's on at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I also have another podcast called The Road Less Traveled, and that's on Monday nights at 9 o'clock. All of my shows are 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can get in touch with me if you need to at denniswcarroll.com, or you can email me at denniswcarroll@gmail.com. I have a paranormal consulting service. If you have any kind of a paranormal problem, whatever it may be, you can get in touch with me through the website. All my services are free. And if you have a problem or just want to relate something or whatever, you can contact me there. And my books are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Just look up Dennis W. Carroll and you'll find them.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Dennis, for joining me again. I know it's evening for you. I mean, me.
It's
Morning for
always
you, or in the middle of the day. And guys, there up on the screen is the Telegram chat. So please join the Telegram chat. What's it called, Lisa D? Maybe you can just pop it in. I was looking for it yesterday, I couldn't find it. But Dennis, would you like to maybe end off for us with a word of prayer?
all righty. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask that you touch everyone who has watched this show today, that you will open their minds spiritually, physically, mentally to the things that are going on in this world, that you will give them a light with which they can hold up against the darkness, that you will give them the guardianship of your holy angels around them, that you will protect them in their coming and in their going, and then throughout all their lives, the lives of their children and their grandchildren. We ask, Lord, that you bless them now in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Dennis. And yeah, okay, the Arrow Wolf Pack, Den Chat. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. There you go. Thank you, girl. And Gong, Maureen, you're such a little star-studded girl. Love that. Thank you so much. So there's the link, guys. And there is, the Arrow Wolf Pack and Den Chat. So please join us there. It'll be fun to connect with you all. And I will see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock my time, which is 7.5 hours earlier than now. So very early for you Americanos, because I have the lovely Joanne Breeze on again, who we know is a very brave and very beautiful survivor from Australia, who's been through so much in Australia and sharing her story. And tomorrow we'll be listening to more of what she has to say, and also she'll be sharing more of her journey and the benefits of doing the shadow work after SRA and RSA. SRA, satanic ritual abuse, RSA, ritual sexual abuse. So she's definitely one of these incredibly brave and amazing people, Joanne, you are. And thank you so much, everybody. And I hope to see you tomorrow. And if you don't catch the live with us, then I hope you'll catch the recording afterwards. Take care, everybody. God bless you all, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. See you soon, Dennis. You'll be back soon as well, I'm sure of it. Yes.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank you.